From the factory floor to remote locations, augmented reality is solving real-world business problems. I'm Tonya Hall for ZDNet and Tech Republic, and joining me is Scott Montgomerie. He is the co-founder and CEO of Scope AR. Welcome, Scott.
Thanks for having me.
So what does Scope AR do?
So Scope AR, we really focus on augmented reality for heavy industrial use cases. I've got two products in market, the first being Remote AR, which is a remote assistance application, kind of like FaceTime, but allowing you to add augmented reality annotations that are shared between a technician and an expert. So it's a really great way of sharing knowledge between an expert and technician and collaborating in over video, but with augmented reality overlays. And the second product is called WorkLink. It's a authoring platform that allows you to easily bring in 3D models and create kind of a workflow, and then overlay these 3D models on top of real equipment to show step-by-step how to do things. So it could be something like seeing a wrench fly onto a nut, the nut gets removed, and then that loosens up a housing, and then that housing is removed and reveals a wire harness, and then shows you how to hook up that wire harness. So really intuitive instructions for the purpose of training, manufacturing, or maintenance instructions.
What is the hype cycle of AR?
The hype cycle of AR, so that's a good question. There's a lot of debate about that. I think, AR has been around for a long time in various iterations. And, I think right now we're actually probably just entering the trough of disillusionment. So, the hype cycle, you've got the peak of inflated expectations. So back in, 2011, 2012, 2013, you had Google Glass and everybody was, walking around with these 20 things on their face. And everybody expected a really great experience. Personally, I put my Google Glass on, and a week later they're in my drawer, and I've never put them on again, which I think was probably the result of most people. But they really, there was so much hype around AR at that point. This is going to change everything, and people got disappointed, which is exactly what happens in the hype cycle. So I think we're still in that. The HoloLens has come a long way, but still, when people put it on, the field of view is not great. It's heavy. The battery life's not great. Magic Leap just launched yesterday. Again, I think that's going to be a bit of a disappointment. I think it's going to be a small iteration on the HoloLens. Next year, we're going to see another HoloLens come up from Microsoft. Apple's rumored to do something. We're really waiting for that iPhone moment in augmented reality for wearable displays. But for our purposes, we think that enterprise augmented reality is a little bit further along. You really haven't seen any use cases in consumer that are compelling with augmented reality. The only exception would be Pokemon Go, but a lot of people would argue that wasn't really augmented reality at all. I think they're going to do a great job in the future. They're certainly making some moves in the market to improve their offering. The next Pokemon Go game sounds like it's going to be amazing with AR. But really, I don't expect any consumer experiences to come out until kind of mid next year. If you remember when the iPhone first launched, it took a year or two before any real usable apps came out. I think it's going to be the same thing. And remember, we're only about a year in from, not even a year in from ARKit launching. We're about 6 months away or out of AR Core launching. It's going to take a little bit of time for people to figure out user interfaces and what actually makes a great augmented reality app. But in enterprise, we've been working on this since 2011, and we're really seeing. We've seen the proof of concepts. We've seen where we can provide ROI. We've picked through that haystack to find the needles of real usefulness, and so our customers have really found some incredible ROI in certain use cases with augmented reality. So that's why I say that enterprise is a little bit further along than consumer. We're really starting to climb out of that trough of disillusionment and seeing real business value.
So let's talk about that. Tell us how AR is being used by businesses to solve real world problems.
Yeah, so we feel like the two use cases that AR is really solving business problems are the two that we address with our two products. So remote assistance, and then seeing work instructions step by step in front of you. So some of our customers are using remote AR in sort of a field service context, or a bit manufacturing facility communication context. So one of our customers, Unilever in the UK, they were using remote AR to communicate just between buildings. So, typically it's like a 10-minute, 20-minute walk between these buildings. If you have a problem, you'd walk over or maybe get on the phone with a guy and try to solve the problem. Phone doesn't really work for solving problems. I don't know if you've ever tried to support, somebody trying to set up a stereo system or something like that. And it's like, yeah, just put the red wire in the red hole. Not that red hole, the other one. No, to the left. No, your other left. Don't touch that. It takes take a much more confusing and complex problem and multiply it by 100, and you can see the problem with just plain phone conversations or even video over FaceTime. So augmented reality really allows you to enhance that by drawing and having arrows. We like to say that just having video is like having an expert behind your shoulder, seeing what you're doing and telling you what to do. But he's still telling you what to do. His hands are tied behind his back. He's not able to show you how to do things. With augmented reality now, it's much more immersive. His hands are untied, but not only that, he has the ability to drop in virtual objects in your area. So an arrow to point exactly to the exact hole on that stereo system, or drawing to illustrate what you're supposed to do, a motion or something like that. So getting back to Unilever, they were able to improve their efficiency dramatically. They reported a 50% reduction in downtime using remote AR, and a dramatic cost savings, 1,700% cost savings that they reported there. So, just that reduction in downtime, allowing an expert to be in multiple places at once, or at least one place, and centralizing his knowledge and supporting many problems, can really show positive ROI. The other use case is standalone instructions. So this is in an area where you've got somebody that's created premeditated instructions. Normally they would write text instructions, and then they'd be interpreted later on by a technician performing a procedure. So if you think about IKEA furniture, everybody screws up IKEA furniture, right? You get 3/4 of the way through building something and you realize you put one part on 10 steps before in the wrong orientation, or used the wrong fastener or something like that. And it all comes down to misinterpreting the instructions. Those little line drawings, you have to do a mental mapping from those internationalized line drawings to what you're actually supposed to do, and you can have misinterpretations or which lead to errors. If you saw that being built in front of you in 3 dimensions, so you start on the ground and you see the first part go in, and then where the fastener goes in, and you see it go together in front of you, there's basically no way you're going to screw up. So really that's what WorkLink does, is it allows you to create those types of instructions. So again, if you take IKEA furniture but multiply it by 1,000 in a much more complex manufacturing scenario or a maintenance scenario or something, it really, the whole thing is around being much better at communicating intention in those instructions, whether it's for training or maintenance or manufacturing instructions.
We saw with Google Glass that privacy and security was an issue. So what about corporate intellectual property? I mean, how do you ensure that AR won't reveal corporate secrets?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the really big challenges with penetrating enterprise. CAD models, your work instructions, that's some of the most important IP that an organization has. And so, it's definitely one of the barriers to entry for organizations adopting augmented reality. So what we've done in our products, we've been at this for a long time. We've seen the pitfalls. We understand where the objections of various levels of the enterprise lie. So we've provided an on-premises instance. So a lot of our customers are like Lockheed Martin and NASA, which require the utmost security. So on-prem allows them to control where the data lies, controls the data flow on their own internal networks. We've taken major pains to have encryption, so everything's encrypted in transit and at rest. It's only decrypted in memory, so it's really tough to hack. I'm sure some really smart hacker could figure out how to get at it, but it's really hard. I'm told that there's a technology where you can actually drop a phone into a vat of nitroglycerin and it freezes the memory in state, so then you can read the memory. I'm sure the NSA has some crazy techniques around that, but anyway, we try to do as good as we possibly can in making sure that the data is encrypted at all times possible. And then all the data that's being collected is also encrypted back to the storage facilities, wherever it's being stored. And yeah, I mean, IT is really, IT is in charge of that data security. And so you really have to make sure that they've got buy-in, that you are storing the data securely.
What about Big Brother watching me all the time at work? I mean, every second of the day, you could potentially be watched. How do frontline employees respond to augmented reality?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big challenge as well. Again, one of the big barriers to adoption for augmented reality is that privacy issue. We saw with Google Glass, there was a whole lot of cafes and bars that did not allow you to wear Google Glass for fear of always being photographed. And so, yeah, in a working context, employers love it because they're able to track their employees, what they're doing, and for good reason. I mean, if you're able to take a picture of what an employee's been doing, you've got proof that the work's been done. You've got proof that the work's been done properly. If something goes bad, you can figure out in a much more efficient way, which step of the procedure wasn't followed properly, and you're able to improve the processes. But as an employee, as a worker, I mean, there's a lot of unionized workers out there that probably don't want to be tracked. I know a lot of construction crews where the foremans know that their workers, as soon as they go around the corner, the workers start slacking off and texting their girlfriends or whatever. With this technology, it would dramatically reduce that, because if you're being fed instructions step by step, it's pretty easy for somebody to track, the time per step, which we do as an efficiency measure. But for the workers, they may not want that data to be tracked. So, we really focus on kind of change management and education within the workforce. We want to tell them that they're going to get their job done better, safer, faster. And there's a lot of buy-in for that. One of the factories that we're working with, they're a fairly inefficient factory, and the workers are having to work overtime on weekends, unpaid overtime to get stuff done. And so the message there is, we actually want to make you more efficient so that you can do your job within the 40-hour work week and not have to work weekends, and you'll do it safer and better. So it's just kind of, how you deliver it. There's a lot of benefits to workers on this. We just have to, navigate those pitfalls a little bit.
Is mobile device bandwidth ever an issue?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially in a field service context, a lot of our workers are out in, in the middle of a field somewhere, especially, in West Texas. Connectivity is really bad or not available. It's not, if you're in a factory context, typically the place has decent Wi-Fi, but not always. So, we've done a lot of work to optimize our video and our 3D transmission for low bandwidth networks, just to accommodate that use case. But certainly that's always more bandwidth is always better. So we're actually really looking for 5G, especially in kind of a field service context. That'll be really, really amazing for our use cases.
So that said, what are some of the milestones on the horizon for the augmented reality workplace?
So, I mean, AirKit and AirCore coming out was a huge milestone. Nobody thought that level of tracking on a phone was possible, and the user experience that you got with those toolkits really expanded amazingly. They were deficient in a lot of ways. One of the big problems is, when you turn your camera off in an AirKit context, all it essentially relocates your location. And so, in a remote AR call, if you've put annotations anywhere, now all of a sudden you've lost the tracking. Those annotations are no longer in the right place. So that's a big problem. Going back to the stereo example, if you circle the stereo, a stereo wire, and you put your phone down and come back, now all of a sudden the wire is in the wrong place. That's not great. So, Apple and Google are fixing that. I believe in iOS 12, that's a supported feature. It's called relocalization. There's a whole bunch of new technologies called the AR Cloud that are coming out, where instead of a relative location, so when you turn on an ARKit context, your initial origin is wherever your phone is and pointing at. With the AR Cloud context, it's actually your real location in the world. So it's kind of like a 3D version of GPS, but super accurate down to kind of the millimeter with your proper orientation. So there's a lot of companies that have sprouted out in the past year to solve that problem. And I think that's going to have a huge impact on augmented reality. And then, obviously new devices coming out are going to be huge. We're looking forward to seeing Magic Leap. We just bought our unit yesterday. The HoloLens 2, whatever Apple does. I know there's a bunch of Korean and Chinese manufacturers building AR glasses. We're expecting at least 2 to 3 really viable headsets next year to be launched, and it's going to be a watershed moment for augmented reality. A lot of our customers right now are using phones and tablets just because they already have them. They don't have to buy new ones. They're good enough for a lot of use cases, especially a remote assistance use case. But certainly there's a case to be made for hands-free. You want to be able to execute instructions while you see them, and not put, have your phone there and put it down, and kind of an annoying use case. So having AR glasses is really important, and really looking forward to seeing those launch.
Scott Montgomerie, CEO and co-founder of Scope AR. Thank you for shedding some light on how businesses are using augmented reality in this exciting time. If somebody wants to connect with you, maybe they want to find out more about how to use Scope, or maybe they want to just get some advice from you. How can they do that?
Yeah, so please visit our website at www.scopear.com. I've got a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of stories from our customers. Particularly the YouTube videos are very enlightening. Augmented reality is, a really nice way to see it visually. So we've done a really great job at showing off a lot of really interesting use cases there.
Thanks again, Scott. And if you want to find me and more of my interviews, you can do that right here on ZDNet or Tech Republic, or maybe go to my website, tonyahall.net. I have links to all my social sites. Thanks for watching.